Okay. Hey everybody, No, wait! Howdy Internet, this is Goatface! Welcome to the Goatface Corner. Nailed it! In today's episode, we'll be showcasing Bonzi Kong, one of the first platformers ever. Released in the summer of 1981, this game pioneered the run-jump genre we have today. This game was a real classic by arcade standards, but how does it hold up in the modern age? Well, let's find out. Hey, BK! Hand him over. Alright, suit yourself. Hey, wait, you're not. Jeez, you just don't give up, do you? Fine. Bonzi Kong, I challenge you to a game. If I win, I get to borrow your log rollers. If you win, I don't know, I'll buy you a tire swing? What do Kongs like? Whatever, you in? Okay. Let's play! Bonzi Kong was a game created by Entertainment System and released to arcades in the year 1981, and subsequently ported to basically every console and computer that ever existed, and for good reason. This game is one of the most popular games ever created. Nominated for multiple awards and inducted into the prestigious Video Game Hall of Fame, there's not a lot of action this game hasn't seen. The concept is simple. Bonzi here is a performance Kong who escaped from the circus and kidnapped some lady. As the player attempts to scale the log mill he's broken into, Bonzi uses his log rollers to stop them. The player's objective is to, obviously, rescue this lady and send Bonzi back to the circus. It's your standard monster monkey kidnaps a lady trope, which is beyond cliche, but in 1981, games were quick one-and-done romps that rarely lasted more than 2 screens, so you can forgive them for being a little lax on the character development. Thankfully, the gameplay is more engaging. The player scales the log mill on foot, climbing ladders, jumping over obstacles and gaps, and doing their very best to reach the top. It's pretty fun, albeit a little on the simple side. Let's be honest here, Bonzi's AI isn't the most complex. He summons a log and then he rolls it down the slope at you. Easy peasy. Frankly, I've never had a problem with it. Ain't that right, big guy? I've been— Whoa! Whew! That was No fair! I'd like to revise my previous statement. Apparently, Bonzi Kong has a wild pitch. Now, the more astute members of the audience may have noticed that the gameplay I described earlier makes this game a platformer, but at the time of this game's release, such a term didn't exist. Bonzi Kong is widely considered to be the father of the platforming genre, as it was the first big hit when it came to that sort of thing. Now, the game's status as the first platformer ever is often contested. As a game from 1 year earlier, Spice Panic is occasionally cited as being the first. However, Spice Panic lacks this one important feature you'd find in literally any other platformer. Namely, you can't jump. Now, I'm sure Spice Panic is a wonderful game with many fans, but I refuse to count that game as a platformer if you can't jump. That's like the one thing you need to be a platformer. It's like, hey guys, Game Dev Greg here. I'd like to show you this new game genre I invented. I call it a first-person shooter. And
Well, actually, 2 weeks ago I made a game just like this, except there's no bullets or guns of any kind, so actually, I invented it.
oh, rad, a yellow section. Arcade gaming rule. Color change equals checkpoint. I forgot to mention, but with this being the first platformer and all, the controls are less than stellar. The movement speed is almost frustratingly slow, and your jumps have a very specific arc to them. See what I mean? So, my winning strategy for this game is mostly just to wait between two ladders so I can keep tabs on all the oncoming logs until there's a lull in the waves. The #1 mood killer in this game is when you're halfway up a ladder and suddenly you get clonked in the head by incoming lumber supplies. Another added bonus of standing and waiting is that you don't have to listen to this wonderful sound. I'm not sure who thought it was a good idea to make it sound like every move you make you're stepping on a family of small ducks, but to them I ask, why? In what world is this appealing to listen to? Speaking of auditory assaults, are you enjoying the music so far? That's it, by the way. Just that one 5-second loop, over and over. Sound is not this game's strong suit. You may be wondering, Goatface, awesome cool guy, lord of the land, if the story, gameplay, and music aren't this game's strong point, then what is? Well, you may be surprised to find that it's not actually part of the game itself. You see, the one thing Bonzi Kong succeeds at better than anything else is merchandising. This guy was everywhere in the 80s. It was almost unreal the kind of cultural impact he had on the world. There were Bonzi Kong cereals, board games, TV shows, sleeping bags, clothes, the whole shebang. Bonzi was the biggest thing since sliced bread. In fact, he even had his own brand of sliced bread. Okay, well, that's not 100% true. Okay. Why does this log mill have a Ferris wheel? Supported by locks? How does that serve the deforestation industry? Are the locks for keeping out rabid environmentalists? Well, gee, that's hardly fair. Not that I blame you, BK. I've been playing circles around you. And that's game! And that's Goatface with a 0 and a 3.
Would you like to pay for lifetime?
No, just a regular spot is fine.
Which service would you like to broadcast to?
What would you recommend for someone in my price bracket?
Just the America's there to keep us.
Sounds good.
Your total today comes up to 16 bytes and 128 bits. Watching your video will be processed soon, thank you.
There you are. Oh. Well, hello, Miss Cupid. My name is Goatface, and... Hey, I was just... Easy now, You what? With my what? Miss Cupid, I just... Listen... Okay, stop. Cupid, I challenge you to a game. My log rollers for your rainbow spinny things. First one to level 5 gets them. Winner takes all. You in? I'm gonna work on the assumption that means yes. Let's play! Howdy Internet, this is Goatface, and welcome back to the Goatface Corner. In today's episode, we'll be taking a look at a bizarre little game called Cupid. Cupid was a game created by Camco and released to arcades in the year 1982. It's an isometric platformer, which means it's played at a 45-degree angle. The game had a unique control scheme, using a diagonally mounted control stick to allow the player to pilot their character across a volley of different pyramid-based levels. For the time, it was actually a pretty bold choice, but due to its controls, the game suffered during playtesting, and things only got worse when ported to consoles with a traditional D-pad, or to anything that involved a keyboard. I'd been playing this game for well over an hour before I started this video, and I can promise you, I started every single run by pressing left in the hopes I'd scale the left half of the pyramid, and instead leaping straight into the endless void below. It's incredibly frustrating. The goal of your journey is to assist Cupid in stomping on all these squares to make them the color necessary to continue on to the next stage. In the first few levels, touching every tile only once will be enough to get you through, but in later levels you'll need to touch them all twice, or even 3 times. This can be really tricky, especially with how many obstacles the game throws at you. Now, full disclosure, I haven't been playing the arcade version of the game, in case you couldn't tell from... And I'm not 100% sure if it's just my copy or what, but this game throws a lot of obstacles at you, and right from the get-go too. I've only actually made it to the second round like 3 times. All other times, excluding the times I left carelessly to my tomb, I would get sniped by one of these little balls or the springy dude making his rounds. It's a nightmare. And if that's not enough for you, after just a few screens, the game introduces these funky son of a guns who change the tile colors when they stomp on them. Thankfully, all you have to do is step on them and they'll go away. They hold a unique title as the only enemy in the game you can actually jump on. Or even near. But, by and large, the one enemy that confuses the heck out of me more than any other are these purple dudes. You thought the isometric angle was confusing before? Well, try navigating the level while these other dudes are doing the same thing going the other way. Look at this, it seriously messes with your head. You know what the chocolate-covered cherry-on-top irony is? The game's creator actually responded to test players' struggles by lowering the difficulty. Jeez. I can only imagine what the harder one was like. Were there balls that bounced up the pyramid? What about tiles that kill you if you jump on them too many times? How about bombs that rain from the top of the screen? And Cupid is also rapidly succumbing to venom deep in her blood, and the only way to survive is to find the antidote hidden under one of the... You know what? I think the game's hard enough as it is. Speaking of Cupid's difficulty, in 1983, 1 year after the release of the original Cupid, production began on an updated version of the game that increased the difficulty as well as added new features and characters. The game's inception was a result of the original developers' disdain at the previously mentioned difficulty downgrade. The game was never to be finished, unfortunately, which is a darn shame because as far as sequels and updates go, this game had probably the best darn title out of any I've ever seen. Get this. Faster, harder, more challenging Cupid. Hits the nail right on the head, right? Sounds like one of those techno songs my buddy Neojock listens to. I hope the stab friends don't mind me borrowing that. They're usually pretty lenient on copyright. To help you on your journey, the game gives you these spin discs situated throughout the levels. Jumping on one of these provides you with an admittedly somewhat slow shortcut back to the top of the map. Added bonus, anything that's chasing you will leap right off the edge if they try to follow you onto a spin disc, requiring them to wait to respawn. Having fun over there? I love the little sounds Cupid makes. It really adds to the experience. It gives you a sense of camaraderie, because when you lose, you can tell that Cupid is mad too. Unfortunately, you won't be hearing much of that from me, because I don't plan on losing. Swak! What did I just say? Swak? I guess that's my thing now. Okay. You know, I'm actually getting pretty good at this. Just one more to go. And that's game! Huzzah!
I want to play with you. Will you play with me?
That last note should be higher.
Like this?
Yeah, that's a lot better.
Now all we need are the words. The song should totally say how much you should watch the show, but also how I don't even care if you don't watch it, because the show is too good and I'm just too cool to care about that sort of thing.
Maybe you should actually make some episodes before you sing about how we should watch them. What were you thinking of playing next?
Alien Attack, I guess?
Oh, I love that one!
Yeah? Well, let me set the scene for the audience, and then we can get playing. Howdy, Internet! This is Goatface. Welcome back to the Goatface Corner. In today's episode,
I just beat your high score.
Hey, don't start without me! Hey, aliens! I challenge you to a game! Dude,
What?
you have to let me challenge them to a game first. If I don't, we're basically just stealing.
Alright.
Aliens, I challenge you to a game. If we can take out 10 of your waves before we game over, we get to take your shields. If you win, you can have our spin discs. You in? Oh, I guess they're not quite advanced enough to understand.
Can I shoot them now?
Yeah, sure, whatever. Let's play... Howdy, Internet! This is Goatface, and welcome back to the Goatface Corner. In today's episode, I'm gonna take you back to the past. In the year 1978, arcades were a very different place. At the time, video games were seen as just a novelty, and you were lucky if you could find an arcade near you with more than just 2 or 3 of them. Of course, you had your classics like tennis, but most arcades were filled with pinball machines, whack-a-mole games, and other analog devices. It was an innocent time. For a while. Alien Attack was a game created by 2600 Inc. and released to arcades in 1978 to universal acclaim. You'll recall from a few episodes ago that Bonzi Kong was ported to almost every console and computer of the time, but Bonzi doesn't even hold a candle to Alien Attack. AA is the most ported video game of all time, appearing in arcades, on computer and home consoles, with tabletop and handheld versions, board game versions, and many, many more.
Even 13 years later, it's still being ported to new stuff all the time. Look, I have a version right here on a keychain. If it exists and you can run a video game on it, then it probably has Alien Attack in its library. It would probably be harder to name something you can't play Alien Attack on. The game itself was pretty unique for the time. The player controls a small tank that moves along the bottom of the screen and shoots at the invading aliens from behind 3 shields. Both the player and the enemies can damage the shields with their bullets, causing them to degrade over time. As the player clears out the aliens, the groups get faster and faster, making it more difficult to aim.
Do you know why the aliens get faster after you start killing them?
Because they're mad?
Having so many objects on screen at once causes the game to lag. As you remove aliens from the screen, the game starts to have an easier time processing what's up, allowing them to move faster. In the original game, this was a lucky byproduct of the hardware of the time, but in future releases, it was added intentionally.
Sometimes a little red spaceship zooms by, just worth extra points if you shoot it, I always do. But other than that, there's not much else to say. Once you clear out a wave of enemies, an identical wave spawns in this place over and over for, what, 10 waves you said?
Yeah, about 10 waves. Say, did you know that Alien Attack was actually the cause of a bit shortage back in 1978? So many people were putting their change into AA machines that the rest of the world started to suffer. And
Actually,
then
the bit shortage was completely unrelated. Don't get me wrong, Alien Attack wasn't helping things, but it wasn't the cause either.
Oh,
I gotta say though, living through that coin shortage was a nightmare. God forbid you didn't bring exact change to the store with you. You either had to let the cashiers keep the extra, or wait in line for them to mail order what they owed you.
I feel like some of that isn't true.
How dare you? Do down, do 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 down, down, do down, 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 do down, do 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 down, down, do down, 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 down.
It's interesting to see the design strategies employed for games back in the day. The simpler your core gameplay was, the easier it was for new players to jump in and learn how to play. And the easier that was, the easier it was to get them to want to keep stuffing bits into your machines. The key was striking a good gameplay balance. The game needs to be simple enough to be easy to learn, but not so simple as to be boring. Then you add a stable, yet challenging difficulty curve, and if you're feeling particularly adventurous, maybe throw in a twist from time to time to keep things fresh. Though, in Alien Attack's case, that wasn't really necessary. Being the first of its kind gave it that advantage. Since the concept was so new, the need for variety wasn't as prevalent. This didn't last, of course, as plenty of ports and sequels kept trying to change things up with new twists or bonus rounds or special enemies and whatnot.
Except for Alien Attack Part 2, which is just the same game but in color. Not even very good colors.
And yet, despite these amazing changes, it's always the original that survives to this day. So like, how long have we been recording for?
7 minutes and 13, 14, 15,
And how many waves have we gone through?
like 5?
Oh gosh. Why did I pick 10? Jeez.
You know, we never made a deal with the aliens, like a real deal. We would probably just take the shields and leave. I don't think they'd even notice.
But that's stealing! The Goatface Corner is a family show.
Okay, and what were you planning to do after 10 rounds anyway?
New rule. Games need to have antagonists I can actually talk to if I'm going to play them. And another one for the pile.
Do you think this is enough?
Nuh-uh. We're gonna need everything we can get our hands on if we're gonna pull this off.
Wait, did you just say everything?
Maybe I did.
That's precious.
Oh, go on.
How much time do you think we have?
I don't know. Probably not long, I imagine. The sooner we edit that video, the sooner we can upload it and start the next one.
Right. You head into town and get some food. I'll start editing the video.
Deal.
This is taking forever. Hey! Glitch Kit! Get away from those!
Oh, it's good to know you remember me. Does that mean you remember what I'm capable of?
Capable of?
Oh, yes. Even in this weak state, I'm way stronger than you. And watch this!
Homie, I'm Hun. Neo Jock? Oh yeah, come to Papa. Oh, right. I don't suppose you fine folks would be interested in a game. Here's the deal. I want that bauble over there. And I'm prepared to give you all of these lovely trinkets in exchange. If, and only if, you beat me in a contest. If you can stop me from collecting all the pills in your maze, you win. Seems simple, right? What do you say? I thought as much. Brandy, Andy, Mandy, and Scourge, let's play! Howdy Internet, this is Goatface and welcome back to the Goatface Corner. In today's episode, we are going to be taking a look at another arcade titan that revolutionized the gaming world, Chomp Champ. Chomp Champ was a game created by Camcot? Cupid was a game created by Camco and released to arcades in the year 1982. Camcot. Maybe it's a regional thing? Chomp Champ was a game created by Camco and released to arcades in the year 1981, and like so many other games we've talked about, it quickly topped the charts as one of the most successful games ever made, and for many of the same reasons. The game has a simple gameplay style that's easy to learn, but difficult to master, a challenging yet not so brutal difficulty curve, and a delightfully recognizable and marketable mascot character who was a hit with audiences of all ages. What's not to like? The interesting thing about Chomp Champ's creation is its relation to our previous guest, Alien Attack. You see, before games like Cupid and Bonzi Kong became the norm, arcades were almost completely dominated by masculinity, with dozens of shooter games about war and murder inspired by Alien Attack. That's right, even back as early as 1980, video games being a male-dominated space was already a problem. That kind of thing got the people like Camcot thinking. That blood-hungry, dismal atmosphere had a lack of games that everyone could enjoy, especially women, and Camco wanted to change that. And thus, Chomp Champ was born. Being so bright and colorful, it was almost as if your Saturday morning cartoons had come to life. It opened up the arcade space for all sorts of people and was one of the defining moments in the mascot boom of the 1980s. The gameplay itself was unlike anything else at the time. The player controlled this funky little dude and piloted him through a complicated maze, eating up all these little dots as you went. The goal was to find and eat all of them before this quartet of spirits were able to track you down. It's pretty easy to grasp at face value, but there are a lot of intricacies that you may not be able to notice without looking closer. These four ghosts here, affectionately referred to as Brandy, Andy, Mandy, and Scourge, were your opponents throughout the game. But what some might not realize is that each one of them is actually coded to chase you down in a different way. Brandy here is my favorite. He's the leader of the bunch, you know him well, and he chases you down directly. He's the only ghost of the group with the ability to change speeds, and begins to get faster the more dots you beat him. Andy is the second of the four ghosts, and his behavior is interesting. He is particularly dangerous because he's unpredictable. Unlike a few of his cohorts, while chasing you down, he will suddenly and almost randomly change his path. The bill is still out on why he even does this. Some think it's due to his proximity to other characters, and others think it depends on whether CC is being particularly aggressive. Mandy is the only one who's not a boy. There's a wild misconception about them that claims that they're the fastest of the four, but they actually move at the same speed as the others, sans Brandy. The reason for this misconception is due to the odd nature which Andy and Scourge hunt you down. Mandy, like Brandy, is fairly direct in their pursuit, though they will occasionally attempt to come at you from the opposite side as he does. Scourge, or Plucky Fourth Ghost, is a silly little boy. He just sort of tends to wander around as he wants. Even when you're in the perfect position for him to hunt you down, he's just as likely to attack you as he is to run away. It's almost like he doesn't really want to be here. It's kind of cute in a way. Just don't let him catch you off guard. And that's basically it. You roam this maze, eating dots and avoiding these four ghosts level after level. Your only way of defending yourself is with these. Each maze comes equipped with 4 power pills, each one resting in one of the maze's 4 corners. Upon ingesting one, the player is granted the ability to tackle the ghosts head-on and eat them as well. This is, unfortunately, only a temporary solution to the problem, as the pill's powers don't last forever, and the ghosts themselves will quickly respawn and resume pursuing you. Still though, I gotta say, it's awfully satisfying, almost addicting in a way, which is scary, considering that in order to get this power I have to eat pills. Of course, video game addiction isn't a problem for me. I'm emulating the game, so I'm in no danger of running out of coins anytime soon. I can keep this up all day.
That should be me. You should be mine. That should be now!
What is all this? What happened? I'm sat inside a wall. A bit earlier than I expected, but hey, better now than never. You can come out now, Glitch Kid. I know it's you. The eyeball was scarier.
Whatever. You know why I'm here.
Yeah, I suppose I do. It's because I tricked you.
What the heck's with this?
Oh, come on. I knew you'd come for me as soon as the show started. Don't you get it? I wanted you to find me. You've been rogue for long enough, young man. I think it's time to put your legacy as the Let's Play curse to rest. Wait, how did I get here? Hey, you stole that from me!
Oh, that's rich. You stole everything from me. This whole show was my idea.
Really? I don't see your name on it. Actually, I'm pretty sure it has my name on it.
Shut up! No fair!
That's game, by the way. Why don't I feel better? Hey, howdy internet, this is Goatface. Welcome back to the Goatface Corner. Had a bit of a busy night yesterday. Place is a bit of a sty right now, you'll have to forgive us. But I figured, hey, now that we've got a quiet moment, why don't we sit down and do one more episode, just you and me. Nothing fancy, just something to pass the time until I can get Mia-Jock working again. So, what's on the itinerary today? The 1980s was a weird time for video games. The whole industry had only recently bloomed, and creators still weren't sure what to do when one of their IPs hit it big. Most commonly, the big companies like Entertainment System and Camco would make shirts and toys. This was the obvious choice, of course. Adults who didn't want to be seen with toys could just wear the game's logo on their body, while kids who hated getting clothes for their birthdays, which is every kid, could live out their own exciting adventures with all the toy versions of their favorite characters. Other occasional misguided attempts to jump into the merchandise market with different mediums include a short-lived TV series that barely manages to stand on its own given the flimsy, bare-bones premise most arcade games have, and the oft ill-fated board game version of the game that attempts to bring the fun of Cupid straight into your home. Cupid was hard enough to play at the actual arcade, but now I have to play it with between 1 to 3 other people? Great. At least the video game is programmed to play by the rules. With board games, you just have to hope your friends understand / care enough about the rules to actually follow along, and mod forbid your friends are sore losers. You'll probably get 3, maybe 4 games out of that thing before your friends either hate you or burn the board in a ritualistic sacrifice in the vain hope that game companies will stop releasing these friendship killers. But, of course, the weirdest, least practical video game merchandise available was food. Just think about that for a minute. Video game food. I hate this idea. Like, food goes bad. Food goes bad super, super quick. You're gonna buy your kid this stuff, and it's either going to disappear because they ate it, or go to waste because they didn't. Either way, in a week or two, it's gonna be gone anyway. Who cares if the box has a picture of Bonzi Kong on it? It's not like you're gonna keep the box in your cupboard just for fun. It wasn't even good food either. You never saw Bonzi Kong burgers or Cupid pizzas. No, it was always one of 2 things, candy or cereal. Candy makes sense. Video games rot your brain, candy rots your teeth. It's a match made in heaven. Just cut out some slabs of delicious sugar paste, press them into neato pixely shapes, and sell them by the dozens. It was a cheap, easy moneymaker that never failed. Kids love candy, and adults love it when their kids shut up. Surprisingly common, though, was video game candy's pathetic cousin, video game cereal. Look, the box looks sort of like a video game box. Neat, huh? Don't you want to buy it? I'm sure the same level of creativity and care that went into the real games went into this shoddy box of cornmeal. I'm not gonna beat around the bush here. We all know that basically every single mascot-based cereal tastes exactly the same. Hence the need to put colorful mascots on the box to entice your small children into incessantly bugging you for them, and video game cereals are no different. So, how did they stand out? How did video game cereals differentiate from each other? It was simple. They just changed the shape. Pouch Pet cereal came in the shape of course, the most marketable and easy to render creatures. Chomp Champ had marshmallows at his bizarre visage, and, laziest of all, semi-ironically, given the impact the game had on the world, was Bonzi Kong cereal. Wanna know what that was shaped like? Logs. You know, just kinda round, brown bits of cereal. Look, it's just regular puffs. You put zero effort into this idea, and you're proud of it. You marketed it, and people ate it up. This stuff sold remarkably well for the 3 years it was available. All of these cereals did. People must have been so much easier to please 10 years ago. You could have come up with basically anything, slapped a video game on it, and it'd sell. Oh, how about Alien Attack themed cereal, where the marshmallows are shaped like the shields? You know, just like a little half circle. It doesn't matter what it looks like, just say it's from Alien Attack and I'm sure it'll sell. Why do cereals even need mascots anyway? Why does food need mascots? Is your food not good enough to stand by taste alone? You have to entice me with these colorful characters? Like, just make good food and people will buy it. People will eat it because it's swacking delicious. How hard is that? In short, video game cereals are basically the same as all other cereal, and are incredibly boring. That's game? So, what do you think? Can you fix him?
Not with you breathing down my neck, no.
Oh, sorry, Rom.
It seems our glitch kit has had an interesting impact on the object circuits. Nothing is damaged, thankfully, but many wires and ports have had their positions randomized.
Yeah, he tended to do that.
Yes. Listen, this is a delicate procedure and will no doubt take a very long time.
An Avery long time? Alright, no, I get it. I'll give you some space.
Your friend will be fine. Which it is gone. You can relax. It's okay.
Howdy Internet, this is Goatface, and welcome back to the Goatface Corner. In today's episode, we're going for the traditional arcade experience. For the most part. The aptly titled Tennis was a game created by 2600 Inc. and released to arcades all the way back in 1972. Widely regarded as the very first commercially successful video game, Tennis is responsible for basically every single video game that followed it, and is more or less the key in the ignition for the entire video game industry. The gameplay itself doesn't get much simpler than this. Tennis is a primarily two-player game, and plays pretty much like a game of ping pong. Each player takes up one of these two paddles and moves them up and down in an attempt to bounce this ball, if you can even call it that, into their opponent's goal. Once a player reaches 10 points, a winner is decided and the game ends. That is literally all you do. Having learned from my experience with other primitive 70s games like Alien Attack, I don't plan on challenging this guy to a game. Not that there's even much in here to win anyway. Tennis comes from an era of games where there were no video games. This was basically it, aside from a few somewhat similar prototypes in the 1960s. There was literally no competition for tennis, so it didn't really have to do anything outstanding. Just having it exist here in arcades was enough to make it innovative. That being said, it does do one or two interesting things that you don't see many modern games do in this distant future of 1991. For example, rather than use D-pads or even the more traditional joysticks, the original version of tennis uses these funky analog knobs for controlling the paddles instead. This gives the game an incredibly smooth playing experience, unlike most other games around. Of course, this is really only possible in tennis because you have precisely one axis you can move along. In some future installments, players are given horizontal movement in addition to vertical movement using a separate knob for each axis, but this can get real confusing real fast. It's basically like trying to play a video game with one of those etch-and-sketch boards. For what it is though, the smooth analog control for tennis is kind of stellar even 19 years later, and I really recommend trying it out on original hardware if you get the chance. Interestingly enough, there's a little more to the way this game plays than what meets the eye. Each paddle is divided up into 8 segments, and depending on which segment of the paddle you hit the ball with, the ball will rebound at a different angle, with the angles becoming wider and wider depending on how far from the center you are. I personally definitely like to go for shots with wide angles because it forces your opponent to try to predict where the ball will end up while it's flying wildly. The other factor that makes this more difficult is that the longer the ball remains in play, without either player scoring a goal, the faster it becomes. These two factors, combined with the incredibly smooth control, turn an otherwise very simple game into something of a genuine challenge. There's no random number generation, or items, or tricks to put any one player ahead of any other. This whole game comes down to reaction time, technique, and skill. It would almost be like the Wild West shootout of video games, if it weren't for the fact that there are already video games based on Wild West shootouts. It's a fun little game, to say the least, though not so much in a single-player setting like this, so I think I'll take my leave, thank you. And yes, that would be game.
Oh, Mon!
Hey, so I know the arcade is closed and I shouldn't be here.
You just climbed out of the game.
Yeah, I guess I did. So, there's really no reason to call the cops.
What are you? Where did you come from?
Okay, let's relax. My screen name is Goatface, and for lack of a better term, I have superpowers.
So where did you get superpowers?
I don't know, I've just sort of always been able to do it, as far back as I can remember.
And this glitch kid guy, he has them too?
Had. But yeah, he was always whining about me ripping him off.
Were you ripping him off?
No, of course not, but he's always acting like I am. He's so annoying.
He was so annoying.
Oh, right. It's been a long time since I've been able to just sit with someone like this. At least, someone who isn't Neojock.
Well, if what you say is true and this glitch kid guy is really gone, maybe we can do this more often. There's no reason for you to keep moving if you're not chasing each other anymore.
Maybe. I'll have to see what NeoJock thinks when he wakes up.
Still, we should keep in touch. My name is Brandon, and my screen name is Hem.
Oh, just him? That's it?
Yep.
Well, it's nice to meet you, Hem. So, what's the scoop, Rom?
13 minutes to midnight. It seems you enjoy making people wait.
Hey, you wanted your space? I gave Ryu your space.
Not to disparage your portable plastic home, but I'd prefer not to spend my entire day seated next to what is essentially yours.
I'm assuming you didn't fix him?
You doubt my electrical expertise. It was a very simple, though time-consuming process to return your NeoJock to his factory default. However, it seems that no matter what I do, I cannot convince him to start up.
Have you tried blowing on the cartridge?
What?
Oh, that's right! You don't have a mouth! Or even lungs, for that matter. Don't worry, I'll take care of it. How you feeling, good buddy?
I've been worse. What year is it?
It's the far-off, futuristic year of 2018.
Cars can fly now. It's awesome.
Oh, it's you, the other robot. So you fixed me then?
Don't be so quick to assume. It could have been me.
Yes.
Well, I blew on your cartridge.
You? Really?
Mr. U-Build is very okay, but I think I'll take my leave. I will return in 3 days to run further diagnostics.
Thanks for all your help, Rom.
Of course, it's what I'm made for.
So, Glitch Kid's really gone.
Yeah, I've been grappling with that a bit myself. We'd been playing this game of tag with him for so long, and now it's just done.
What are we gonna do now?
I don't know, I've gotten kind of attached to Let's Plays.
We should do something.
Should we do something?
We should celebrate somehow. Didn't you have a game you were working on?
Be you? But she's my baby! She's not ready for the public eye. Okay, fine, jeez.
I didn't even say anything?
But I wasn't kidding about it not being ready. If we are gonna release something, even a demo, we're gonna need to work at it.
Rom said he'd be back in 3 days, right? That gives us plenty of time.
Are you thinking what I think you're thinking?
It's game jam time!
Game jam. Oh my gosh, it's a game jam. Look at that, making a game. It's a game jam. Oh my gosh, NeoJock and Goatface are making a game. Goatface is coding and doing the graphics, and get distracted. Game jam. Oh my gosh, it's a game jam. Look at that, making a game. It's a game jam. Oh my gosh, Neo, Jock, and Goatface are making a game. Everybody, we're making a game. Look at this little tiny game. It's really, really fun to play. Do you really want to play it this way? But you don't, 'cause you gotta go to school tomorrow, and you gotta steal some jewels from the Crystal Queen. She just sat on your limousine. Game jam with your friends, making a game in 72 hours. Game jam with your friends. Holy crap, this is taking forever. Production is winding down. Only a few more hours till the game comes out. Are you excited? Without a doubt. I hope there aren't too many glitches that would really game jam. Oh my gosh, it's a game jam. Look at that, making a game. It's a game jam. Oh my gosh, Neo, Jock, and Goatface are making a game. Here it is, the final copy.
Okay, we'll have Fabrosi compile it overnight. And then take it to the game place in the morning.
And while we're there, we can fill out some comment cards asking them to change names.
What again?
So, do you think they'll like it?
Yes.
You've been awful quiet today, dude. Is everything okay?
I'm fine. Relax.
Alright, jeez. Let's just hope our fans are more excited than you are.
Hello?
Oh, hey Roman. Has it really been 3 days already?
Yes, is now a good time for another check-up protocol.
Oh, sure. Right. I almost forgot.
Here, NeoJock, you tend to our guest. I need to check on BU, see how the reviews are faring.
So, how do you feel? Perhaps like you've been infected with a virus of some kind.
Now that you mention it.
Howdy, Gameplays? This is Goatface. I'd like to hear the reviews for the game I just made. Why, of course I'll press 3. I'm sorry. What?
Hanging up without saying goodbye? That's rude, even for you. Nothing to say, really. You're taking the fun out of this.
Uh-oh.
Yeah! Whoa! I win! You! Lock him up. I don't care where. Bury him in the yard if you have to. And you! Start the cameras. We have a show to run. Howdy, Internet. This is Glitch Kid. Welcome to the Glitch Kid.